Welcome back to Ascent Rivals, and more importantly, welcome to Neulo Shores. For this video, I will be covering the lines and shortcuts you will have to learn if you want to keep up with some of the fastest players in this game. On the other hand, I won't be covering the basic controls of this game, as I have it listed in my other video, which I will link up here and in the description down below. So, let's get back to Neulo Shores. This map is one of the shortest and the more common maps you will see in the Genuine Games arsenal. But this does not make it easy. Instead, this is one of the most intricate maps that has been practiced and perfected time and time again. So, where to start? As always, you need to understand the ship that you are using. The build I used in the last video, the Pepsin, is not going to be the fastest vehicle for this map. While very similar, I'm going to be using a different build given to me by Sir Ducky, the fastest racer currently in the game. The build looks like this, and for the sake of understanding what build to use and when, I have once again given it an unofficial designator. This one I am calling Ducky's flotation device. The only difference for this build is simply using a medium warp drive instead of a heavy warp drive. With that said, once again, all the timings and controls will be based around the Ducky's flotation device. Let's get into it. So, this map looks very similar to a classic racetrack oval, but there's lots of tiny gaps or outside lines formed by rocks or big open areas in the sea. So, focusing on every small part is essential to how you move throughout the track. Starting with the beginning, your starts will typically look a lot like this. So this is a very common starting crash, and it's actually super simple to avoid. No, I'm not trying to call you out, I'm just saying once you know the technique, it becomes a lot easier. So, as soon as the race starts, instead of instantly charging your booster, use your left bumper to strafe you to the left, and then charge up your booster and let it fly. To do this, you're going to need to drop your right thruster and lean right at the same time. This allows you to take the turn at a much wider angle so that you can glide between these rocks. Right before you have the line turned up, you're going to want to bring your thruster back up to give you a forward thrust to negate the extra momentum that you had from your turn. Here you're going to want to go under the broken tunnel and start your boost to aim for the break in the rock wall up ahead. Once again, at this point, you're going to lean right and drop your right thruster to do as close of a turn as possible around this rock, giving you a chance to do another quick boost that leads you straight towards the finish line. So, if you put it all together, you will get a lap time that looks like this. And there you go. That's the line. Okay, so I lied. That's not all. I technically skipped two very important segments. I will start us off with the easier maneuver that requires you to learn some advanced maneuvers that require a little bit of game knowledge prior. As I covered in the previous video, the function of leaning and how holding down both triggers allows you to pull your ship closer to the ground, which allows your ship to build up a higher max speed. Typically, I'm a believer that you should always be leaning, but after a while of playing some of the other maps, you start to learn the faults of this thought process. So, why is this happening? With your speed built up, your hovering device doesn't have enough time to apply the force to push you up, seeing as you're closer to the ramp and going faster. This means by releasing your leans, you will have more clearance to hit ramps with more speed and take less damage. Now, it's time for the big move.
The secret ramp.
If you were like me, the first few dozen times of hitting this ramp will look a lot like this. So, let's first work on getting you set up with a clean line. To do so, we're going to have to get rid of the boost that you do under the tunnel and instead go through at full speed and rely on your thrusters and strafe to move you into the proper line. Once you're in, you're going to mainly use your leaning to help you line up the proper ramps. Once you've played for a little while, you realize you can use your strafes. This is much more dangerous, so only use it if it's absolutely necessary and after familiarizing yourself with the jump. Hopefully this should help keep you from bouncing off the walls like a ping pong ball. From here, we are finally approaching the actual ramp. When you near the ramp, you're going to want to release both of your triggers so that you're able to get the clearance that we previously talked about and hit the ramp with speed. As you are about to leave the ramp, you're going to want to drop your right thruster, and right when you leave the ramp, you are going to add in a right lean. If you do your right lean too soon, it will likely end up in you hitting this stupid little spike, which has caused me more pain than I care to admit. Once you are airborne and following the previous 2 steps, you need to use your right thruster to push you towards the right, making you take the turn even harder. Once you land on the ramp, go to the right of the rock and charge up your boost to push you past the finish line. Once you are able to perfect this move, you will start to notice that this move alone has pushed you to be able to hit sub 14s and 13s easily. But we want to push this even further. Alright, it is now time for the most insane move in the entirety of the game. This move has been designated the Lucky Ducky launch. If you have been in the community for a while, this is typically how most racers become airplanes and start to take flight. This move will require you to take another side ramp which hugs the right wall at the final turn of the lap. This move alone can save a few fractions of a second if it is perfected, but that's much slower than the move that was created by Sir Ducky. The launch requires you to get most of the way through the first portion of the side ramp and start to angle yourself right, and with the lean of the ground, you will be pointed a little bit towards the sky. From here, you're going to want to do a full boost, which will probably end up like this. Unfortunately, there's no real trick to figuring out the angle for this other than practicing it a few times until you're able to successfully launch over. With no in-air adjustments, you will be lined up away from the track. To correct this, we are going to need to drop our right thruster to be able to line us up for the tunnel. For this strat, you need to be very careful. If you start with a lean towards the right and you boost, your ship's weight distribution will be heavily on the right side of your ship, meaning that you'll be fine going up, but coming down you're going to land hard on your right thruster. So you're going to start your lean right only before or as you land on the ground, so that you can continue through the tunnel and up the ramp and repeat. For this specific move, I do want to warn you that it is very dangerous, and most people, Ducky included, try this move during races only when absolutely necessary to try and catch up with people in the lead. Finally, I want to give you some final advice on this jump as given by Sir Ducky himself. For this jump to be as efficient as possible, you need to have stacked obelisk charges to get the full speed from the turn. Along with this, Ducky stated that this launch is trial and error most of the time, and how he does it slightly changes every single time. So don't be afraid to try and experiment with some of your own techniques. With all of these moves together, the line starts to shift from this to the new line. This line can easily bring you down to 13 or even 12 seconds and much lower, with the fastest lap being recorded at a higher 9 seconds as recorded by Sir Ducky. With all of that being said, a quick lap time starts to become a little like this. Okay, so that's all I got for you today. I do want to say quickly, first off, a major thank you to Sir Ducky, who was able to help me out a lot with understanding some of the key aspects of the harder jumps. To find some content from Sir Ducky himself, I'm going to link his YouTube channel in the description, so please make sure to go give him some praise. I wish you all well, and I hope this helps. As always, if you guys have any extra questions, feel free to message me on Discord in either the Ascent Rivals Discord or in my own Discord, both of which I will have linked down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!